stop what you're doing. Seriously, stop and listen. Because what's happening in Cleveland right now, the stuff happening behind closed doors, on the practice field, and in the whisper networks, is about to blow the lid off the entire NFL season. You think you know the story? You think this is just some backup quarterback controversy? You are wrong. This is about power. This is about legacy. And this is about a franchise that is so terrified of its own future, it might be fumbling the single greatest opportunity it's had in a generation. The practice footage just dropped. The tape the Browns probably didn't want you to see. The clips that are going so viral, they're breaking the internet. And it's not just good, it's terrifying. It shows Shedeur Sanders, the man they keep calling a backup, operating on a completely different planet. While the Cleveland Browns organization tries to sell you on patience, tries to sell you on process, Shedeur is on the field proving that the process is a lie. The debate is over. The eye test doesn't lie. And deep down, in that building, the coaches, the GM, they absolutely know they are sitting on a time bomb. The question isn't if Shedeur Sanders should be starting. The question is, how much longer can they possibly justify keeping the future on the bench? Picture this scenario for a second. Just try to wrap your head around this. Imagine being one of the most electric, one of the most dominant, one of the most clutch college quarterbacks we have seen in the last decade. A guy who walks onto any field against any competition and commands it like he owns the deed to the stadium. A guy who makes plays that don't just move the chains, they break the will of the defense. Plays that have fans literally screaming, jumping out of their seats, wondering, did he really just do that? That's the baseline. Now, let's add another layer. Imagine being one of the highest earning college athletes in the history of sports. Before you've even signed your first NFL contract, before you've even taken a snap in a preseason game, you've reportedly banked close to $30 million. $30 million through NIL deals, through building your own brand, through becoming a cultural icon while still in school. This isn't just success. This is a paradigm shift. This is generational wealth, the kind most people dream about their entire lives, secured before you can even legally rent a car in some states. This changes the entire dynamic. This isn't a rookie just happy to be here, hoping to earn a spot. This is a man who walks into the building with a different kind of power, a different kind of leverage. But here's where it gets even deeper, where the plot thickens, where the politics get dirty. Imagine your father is Deion Sanders, primetime, the legend, one of the most electrifying, charismatic, and straight-up transformative players the NFL has ever witnessed. A man who didn't just play the game at a Hall of Fame level, but fundamentally changed the culture of the game. Deion wasn't just a shutdown corner and a game-breaking return man. He was a pioneer. He was the original architect of player empowerment. This man was negotiating guaranteed contracts when the league treated players like disposable assets. He demanded respect. He demanded compensation that matched his value, and he was nor afraid to tell the world exactly how good he was. He inspired an entire generation of athletes to understand their worth, to control their own brands, to build their own destinies. And the NFL, the establishment, the old guard, they never forgot that. Some owners loved the show. Many others resented the shift in power. They resented the fact that a player could be bigger than the shield, but everyone, and I mean everyone, respected the impact. Now, here's the twist. Here's the part that nobody in the mainstream media wants to say out loud. The part everyone is thinking but is too afraid to articulate. Imagine the NFL, this multi-billion-dollar machine, this corporate monolith, having a problem with you. Not because of your talent, not because of your work ethic, not because of anything you've done wrong, but because of who your father is, because of what he represented. Imagine being judged, analyzed, criticized, and doubted not for what you've put on tape, but because your dad shook up the status quo, because your dad demanded more for every player that came after him, because your dad refused to kiss the ring and play by the league's unwritten old school rules. That is the invisible crushing weight that Shedeur Sanders has been carrying since the second he declared for the draft. It's not fair, it's not right, it's not just, but it is absolutely 100% real. And it's about time people stop pretending it isn't factoring into every decision, every news report, and every snap he doesn't take. Shedeur Sanders just sent another shockwave through the entire football world. And this time, it wasn't a soundbite. It wasn't a social media post. It wasn't a celebration. It was raw, undeniable, high-definition proof. Fresh practice footage straight out of the Browns facility has gone nuclear. It is everywhere. And the timing, it's absolutely explosive. While the talking heads on TV and the fans on social media argue in circles, debating spreadsheets and hypotheticals about who deserves the starting quarterback quarterback spot, Shedeur is out there on the grass, proving it. He's proving it with every single rep. He's moving, he's throwing, he's commanding the huddle like he's already got the job. Like it's not even a question. Like it's just a matter of time before the coaches, the front office, and the entire world catches up to the reality that he already knows deep in his bones. The Browns might be trying to keep a lid on this, but the pressure is building. This is a full-blown internal storm brewing, the kind of storm that doesn't just pass over. It changes the entire landscape. It uproots franchises, and deep down in that front office, in that coaching staff's locked door meetings, they absolutely know it. Here is the real unvarnished scoop coming out of Cleveland right now. This is the stuff that's got the entire organization tiptoeing, walking on eggshells, trying not to set off the landmine. Officially, on paper, Shedeur Sanders is listed as the backup quarterback. He's QB2. He's sitting there comfortably or maybe very uncomfortably in that number 2 slot right behind Dillon Gabriel. But do not for one single second let that label fool you. Do not let that depth chart designation cloud your vision. This man is not moving like a backup. He is not preparing like a backup. He's not thinking like a backup. Not in practice, not in the film room, not in the weight room, not even close. The word is, when practice officially wraps, when the whistles blow and most of the players are jogging off, heading for the showers, grabbing their phones, thinking about lunch, Shedeur is still out there. He's still on that field, grinding like his entire career depends on the next throw. He's throwing extra passes, laser beams with pinpoint accuracy. He's walking through his footwork, tightening up his mechanics with surgical precision. He's locking in mentally, visualizing, preparing like he knows, not thinks, knows, that destiny is about to call his number any day, any minute now, and he refuses, absolutely refuses to be caught unprepared when it happens. Word around Cleveland, the kind of whispers that travel at the speed of light in NFL circles, the kind of stuff you hear from trainers, from equipment managers, from players, is that this moment, his moment, might be closer than anyone is publicly willing to admit. People inside the facility, the ones who know what's really going on, they're whispering. They're saying that after this bye week, after this reset, fans might finally see Shedeur Sanders on that field for real. Not in garbage time. Not in a preseason game, not in a blowout, but as the guy, as quarterback 1, as the starter. Nothing is officially confirmed, of course. This is the Cleveland Browns. They never make anything easy. They never make anything straightforward, but the energy, the vibe around the facility is absolutely insane right now. You can practically taste the shift happening in the air. You can feel it in your chest. Local reporter Tony Rizzo, a guy who has been plugged into the Browns organization for years, a guy who has sources deeper than most national guys could ever dream of, has been hinting. And he's not just hinting, he's practically screaming it from the rooftops. He's been saying heavily that Shedeur could be, and should be, stepping in sooner rather than later. The rumor, the big one, is that the coaching staff is quietly, almost secretly, preparing what they call an evaluation stretch. What does that mean? Let me translate that for you from coach speak. It means Dillon Gabriel might have already played his last few games as the undisputed starter without even knowing it. They want to see. They need to see if Shedeur can turn all this hype, all this buzz, all this social media electricity into real, tangible on-field production. Can he do it under the bright lights, under actual NFL pressure, not just in practice against the second string, but on Sunday when it counts? It's like Cleveland is getting ready for a brand new era, a fresh chapter, a total reset, and everyone, from the janitors to the general manager, can feel it building. It's like a tidal wave you can see coming from a mile away. The only question left is, are the Browns actually brave enough to pull the trigger? Are they bold enough to embrace the future? Or will they do what they always do, play it safe, hedge their bets, and wait until it's far too late? Now, here's where things start to get really hot. And when I say hot, I mean the temperature in that locker room, in that quarterback room, is about to hit nuclear levels. Word on the street, according to multiple sources who are very close to the situation, is that Dillon Gabriel caught wind of it. He heard the rumors. He sees the social media posts. He feels the whispers about Shedeur, his backup, his supposed subordinate, possibly, and probably taking his starting spot. And let's just be real for a second. He's not exactly thrilled about it. He's He's not throwing a party. He's not doing cartwheels. Can you really blame the guy though? Let's be empathetic for just 1 second. Imagine finding out through the grapevine, through leaks, through cryptic media reports that the guy standing right behind you on the depth chart, the guy with the famous name, might be sliding into your position. Not next year, but next week. That is a cold, brutal, savage hit to the ego. It's a reality check that nobody, no professional athlete ever wants to face. But welcome to the National Football League, baby. That's the game. It moves at the speed of light. Loyalty is a luxury, not a guarantee. Performance is everything. And if you are not delivering, if you are not winning, if you are not producing consistent, undeniable results, there is always someone younger, hungrier, and in this case, maybe just flat out more talented, waiting in the wings, ready to take your job, ready to take your spot, ready to take your shot in a single heartbeat. So let's talk about those cold, hard facts. Let's look at the numbers, the data, the stuff that doesn't lie no matter how much you try to spin it, no matter how much coach speak you throw at it. Dillon Gabriel has played 4 games so far this season, 4 opportunities, 4 chances to grab this job by the throat and prove he belongs, prove he's the future. And to be brutally, painfully honest, it's been rough. It hasn't been a complete, unmitigated disaster. It hasn't been totally unwatchable, but it definitely has not been the kind of performance that locks down your job for the long term. It hasn't been the kind of play that inspires an ounce of confidence in the franchise's future. The stats tell a story, and it's not a story of greatness. It's a story of mediocrity. It's a story of missed opportunities. It's a story of an offense that sputters and stalls and dies right when it should be exploding. And here's what makes it even more frustrating. Here's what makes Browns fans, who have suffered through decades of quarterback purgatory, want to pull their hair out. The coaching staff seems absolutely pathologically terrified to let Dillon actually play real football. What's crazy about this? And this is where Tony Rizzo just absolutely hit the nail on the head, hammered it home. Rizzo has been publicly, loudly, and repeatedly calling out the Browns coaching staff. And honestly, he's 100% right to do it. The play calling has been soft. It's been weak. It's been conservative. It's been scared. It's nothing but safe little checkdown passes on 3rd and 12. It's boring, predictable short yardage plays. It's an offensive scheme so vanilla, so bland, it makes plain oatmeal look like a 5-star meal. Sure, this strategy does one thing. It makes Dillon's stat sheet look okay on paper. It keeps his completion percentage decent. It keeps the interception numbers low. But it doesn't move the game forward. It doesn't put pressure on the defense. It doesn't put points on the board. And it sure as hell doesn't win football games. If you've watched this league long enough, if you understand the chess match that's happening between the coaches on the headsets, you can see exactly what game they're playing here. The coaches are bubble wrapping Dillon Gabriel out there. They are protecting him. They are protecting their draft pick. They are protecting their evaluation. They're protecting him from catastrophic failure, keeping his numbers artificially clean, and pretending, just pretending, that the offense is functioning just fine when it is clearly, obviously stalling out and going nowhere fast. But here's the wild part. Here's the part that absolutely nobody in the national media wants to talk about. This is the elephant in the room that everyone is just politely ignoring because it completely destroys their entire narrative. Everyone keeps saying it over and over. Oh, 30 teams passed on Shedeur Sanders in the draft. He fell for a reason. They use it like a weapon, like it's some massive knock against him, like it's definitive proof that he's not that good. Like 30 NFL front offices, 30 groups of experts can't possibly all be wrong. But hold up, wait a minute. Let's apply that exact same logic consistently. Didn't 30 teams also pass on Dillon Gabriel? Didn't 31 teams pass on him? Didn't 31 teams pass on him twice? Did the entire league just develop selective amnesia overnight? Dillon Gabriel wasn't some first-round prodigy that every team was fighting over. He wasn't projected to go in the top 10. Nobody was trading up their future to go get him. He fell. He fell all the way to the 3rd round for the exact same reasons people criticize Shedeur. Questions about arm strength, concerns about the level of competition, doubts about whether his college success could translate to the speed and complexity of the NFL. So why? Why is everyone suddenly acting like Dillon Gabriel is some proven, established veteran with years of success under his belt, while Shedeur Sanders is just a risky gamble, a lottery ticket, a kid who's only here because of his daddy's name? It is wild hypocrisy. see. It's a staggering double standard on full display for the entire world to see. And the funniest part, the most ironic, most perfectly Cleveland Browns part of this entire situation, is that the rookie everyone doubts, the one they keep trying to diminish, the one they're protecting their other rookie from, might just end up being the one guy who can save this entire struggling franchise from another decade lost in the wilderness. Tony Rizzo actually said this with a completely straight face during a recent broadcast. He said that he genuinely believes Dillon Gabriel is outperforming Cam Ward, the #1 overall pick in the entire 2024 NFL Draft. Let that sink in for a second. Just let it marinate in your brain. Dillon Gabriel, the same guy who's been looking average at best, inconsistent at worst, the guy who is managing games rather than winning them, is supposedly, in some alternate universe, doing better than the top pick. The guy an entire franchise, the Miami Dolphins, bet their entire future on with the very first selection. That is some next level mental gymnastics right there. That is Olympic gold medal level reasoning. It's the kind of logic that makes your brain physically hurt if you stop and think about it for more than 5 seconds. But let's break this down properly. Let's be adults here. Let's look at the actual facts instead of these bizarre hot takes and unhinged narratives. Dillon's season so far has been all over the map. It's been a roller coaster of pure inconsistency. He had one decent game against Minnesota where he looked fine. He looked halfway competent. He managed the game well enough, didn't turn the ball over, and didn't lose it for his team. Great. He also had one performance where he looked completely and totally overwhelmed, making bad decisions, missing wide open receivers, looking like a deer in the headlights every time the pocket got a little muddy. And he had one game so forgettable, so thoroughly mediocre, so blah. It might as well have just been a bye week. That's it. That's his entire resume right now. 4 games of wild inconsistency with no clear upward trajectory of improvement. And yet, somehow, some way, people are bending logic into pretzels, twisting themselves into knots, trying to convince themselves and everyone else that this is better than what Cam Ward has been doing down in Miami. Here's the kicker. Here's the simple fact that exposes this whole argument as complete and utter nonsense. Both quarterbacks, Dillon Gabriel and Cam Ward, have 1 win each. A single solitary win. So, how does that math even make sense? How is Dillon outperforming anyone when their win totals are identical and their stats are, at best, comparable? The math just isn't mathing. The logic completely falls apart under the slightest, most gentle scrutiny, and it's starting to look a lot like the Browns organization is desperately, frantically protecting their own narrative. They're protecting their own decision-making. They're protecting their own ego. The coaching staff keeps insisting every time they're at a podium that Dillon's doing just fine. He's progressing nicely. We're happy with what we're seeing. It's a process, which isn't shocking at all when you remember they spent a valuable 3rd-round pick on him. Of course, they're going to defend their choice. Of course, they're going to pump him up publicly, admitting he's struggling, admitting he might not be the guy, would be admitting they made a mistake. And we all know NFL coaches and general managers hate admitting mistakes more than they hate losing. But come on, let's be real here. Looking like a typical 3rd-round rookie who is struggling to adjust to NFL speed and complexity is not exactly something to brag about. It's not some major accomplishment. It's pretty much exactly what everyone expected, especially when you've got Shedeur Sanders right there, sitting on the bench, sharpening his game every single day. Living in the film room, studying obsessively, working with receivers after practice, building chemistry, and waiting patiently but hungrily to explode onto the scene the very moment he gets a legitimate, fair shot. And that new practice footage, the stuff everyone is talking about, that's the proof. That's the evidence right there in high definition. Shedeur is not acting like a backup. He's not carrying himself like a backup. He's not remotely close. You can see it in his eyes. That laser focus, that quiet, simmering intensity. You can see it in his mechanics. Smooth, fluid, effortless. You can see it in every single throw. The velocity, the accuracy, the touch on the deep balls, the zip on the quick outs. This is not a guy who is content with riding the bench, cashing checks, and waiting his turn for 3 years. This is someone who knows deep in his bones that his moment is rapidly approaching, and when it finally arrives, he's gonna snatch that spotlight with both hands, and he is never, ever going to give it back. Rizzo didn't just report on the drama, though. He didn't just speculate. He actually dropped a concrete plan, a roadmap. He laid out what the Browns should do if they're smart, if they actually want to win, according to him. And this makes 100% perfect sense if you think about it strategically. The Browns need to give Shedeur Sanders the entire bye week, not just a few reps, all of it. Sit him down with that playbook until he knows it backwards, forwards, and upside down. Let him live, breathe, and sleep those offensive concepts. The route combinations, the protection schemes, the audibles at the line, then throw him in with the big boys. Give him all the reps with the first team offense against the first team defense, not the scout team scrubs. Let him feel that real NFL game speed, that intensity, that physicality day after day. Get him fully synced up with his starting receivers, with Amari Cooper, with Jerry Jeudy, so the timing is perfect, so it's second nature, and have him completely 100% ready to roll into New York to face the Jets right after the bye. That is the kind of serious preparation a future franchise starter needs. Not just throwing him into the fire cold and hoping for the best. And honestly, that sounds like the absolute smartest, most logical, most necessary move the Cleveland Browns could possibly make right now. What exactly do they have to lose at this point? What is the downside? The season is already teetering on the edge of complete and total disaster. Dylan Gabriel has been mediocre. The offense looks lost, confused, and toothless. The fans are frustrated, angry, and tuning out. The energy is flat. It is time. It is past time. It is time to see what Shedeur Sanders can really do in actual meaningful game situations before this entire year completely slips through their fingers and becomes just another wasted season in Cleveland's long, sad, painful history of wasted seasons. Those final 4 games of the season, that's the window. That stretch could serve as his official audition, not just for next season in Cleveland, but potentially for any team around the league, any other team bold enough and smart enough to see his massive untapped potential if the Browns somehow, in classic Browns fashion, manage to mess this up. The timeline that insiders are whispering about, the ones circulating in group chats and private conversations, it's lining up absolutely perfectly. Shedeur is expected to get that final 4-game stretch. A chance to prove himself to everyone. A real sample size. Not just one random start against a great defense where anything could go wrong. Not one game where one bad bounce or one dropped pass could unfairly define him. 4 full games. 4 weeks to show real growth. To show mental toughness. To show leadership. To show that confidence. 4 games to show whether that undeniable college swagger, that primetime DNA, that it factor, can translate into legitimate game-winning, franchise-changing NFL dominance. But here's what's truly wild about this entire situation. Here's what separates Shedeur from 99.9% of players who have ever been in his position. It's not just the hype. It's not just the viral clips. It's not just the famous last name. It's how Shedeur Sanders is handling all of this. All this pressure, all this scrutiny, all this noise, all this constant 24/7 debate about his future. Think about it. Have you seen any dramatic interviews? Have you seen him throwing shade at the coaching staff? Have you seen any passive-aggressive comments to reporters about his playing time? Any cryptic, angsty social media subtweets? Has his agent been leaking stories to try and create controversy or force the team's hand? Number? Nothing. 0. Zilch, he is keeping his head down, he is keeping his mouth shut, and he is keeping his focus razor sharp. He's just working. He's putting in the reps day after day after day. He's working like a man who already knows. He knows with absolute, unshakable certainty that his shot is coming, that his time is near, that destiny has his number on speed dial. Every single day he's out there. He's staying locked in. He's sharpening his skills like a master craftsman perfecting his art. And he is making absolutely positively sure that when the Browns finally call his name, when they finally hand him the keys to this offense, there will be no debate. There will be no hesitation. There will be no questions. There will be just pure, unadulterated readiness and absolute fireworks lighting up that field. And that mentality, that approach, that professional maturity, that That is exactly what separates Shedeur Sanders from the rest of the pack. This isn't some entitled kid sitting around, pouting, waiting for a miracle to fall into his lap because of who his dad is. This is a young man actively, methodically building his own miracle. Brick by brick, rep by rep, throw by throw, every practice session, every film study hour, every extra minute he stays after when everyone else has already left the building. It's all a statement. It's a declaration. He is saying loud and clear without having to say a single word. I'm not here to watch from the sidelines. I'm not here to be a backup. I'm here to take over. I'm here to dominate. I'm here to become the face of this franchise. And the absolutely crazy part, the part that should terrify Dillon Gabriel and excite every single Browns fan on planet Earth, his teammates are starting to feel it too. They're starting to believe it. They are starting to see the future unfolding right in front of their faces on that practice field. You can sense the shift. You can feel it happening in that locker room. The subtle changes in energy, the change in vibe, the quiet buzz when Shedeur walks by, the side glances from veterans, the whispers in the cafeteria about how different the offense looks, how different the energy feels when he's under center, even when he's just running the scout team. Some of the veterans, the leaders on this team, have reportedly, according to sources very close to the team, even told the coaching staff directly. They've said his presence, it just hits different. That confidence he naturally carries. It's not arrogant, it's not obnoxious, but it is undeniable. And it is deeply, profoundly contagious. He's got that rare, unteachable mix of calm and command, the kind of quality you absolutely cannot fake. You cannot manufacture it. You cannot coach it into someone. It's either in your DNA or it's not. And Shedeur has it in spades. When he walks into the huddle, it's not loud, it's not flashy, it's not attention-seeking, but everybody, straightens up just a little bit taller. Guys make eye contact. They listen just a little bit closer. They execute just a little bit crisper. That is real leadership. That's leadership happening before the title is even officially his. That is the intangible it factor that separates the good quarterbacks from the great ones. The great ones from the franchise changers. Meanwhile, the coaches. You can see it on their faces in the press conferences. They are starting to look absolutely cornered. They're trapped. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And there is no easy way out. They know, even if they will never ever admit it publicly, that if they keep Shedeur benched for too much longer, the noise, the pressure from outside the building is only going to grow. It's going to grow exponentially. It's going to get louder, and it's going to become absolutely impossible to ignore. It'll be reporters asking pointed, uncomfortable questions in every single press conference. It'll be fans showing up to the stadium with Shedeur jerseys and homemade signs demanding he play. It'll be analysts on national television, every pregame show, questioning their decision-making, questioning their competence, questioning their eyesight. Everyone from the most casual fan to the most hardcore football expert is watching Cleveland right now. They're watching this situation like it's the hottest, most dramatic reality show on television. Every single practice clip that leaks online, every quote from a player or a coach, every roster move, no matter how small or insignificant, it is all being dissected, analyzed, and debated like it's the most important thing happening in the world of sports. And it's not just hype anymore. It's not just noise from fans who don't know football. It is legitimate, overwhelming pressure mounting from all sides. And it is building faster and faster and faster with each passing week, with each incomplete pass Dillon Gabriel throws. The front office is stuck in an equally tough spot, maybe even worse than the coaches, because their jobs, their reputations, their entire legacies are on the line long term. Think about their dilemma. If they ride with Dillon Gabriel through the rest of this season and the team tanks, if they finish with a terrible record, 5-12, 6-11, if they miss the playoffs again, they are going to look stubborn. They're going to look blind. They're going to look completely incompetent. People will question everything, their evaluation skills, their draft strategy, their willingness to adapt, their entire philosophy. But if they give Sanders the reins right now, after the bye, and he absolutely shines, if he lights up the league, if he looks like a superstar, if he proves every single doubter wrong, then suddenly they've got to explain. They have to explain to ownership, to the fans, and to themselves. Why? Why wasn't this kid starting weeks ago? Why wasn't he the starter from day one? Why did you waste valuable game time, valuable reps, valuable weeks of the season? It's a lose-lose situation for them, politically, unless, and this is the key, unless Shedeur Sanders literally saves them from themselves. Performs so well, so undeniably that everyone forgets about the delay and just celebrates the discovery.